Welcome back to MNVA Geography, where we are talking about economics in the 3.3 Study 3 of comparing developed and underdeveloped countries. There are many ways that geographers can use what they learn from defining the quality of life and how it changes over time. One way is to study the connection between location and the quality of life. In which locations do most or all of the people have access to the things that make good life? Is there a quick way to find this out? The Human Development Index, the HDI, developed in 1990, is widely recognized as one of the best measurements of the quality of life. The HDI shows the overall well-being of people in various countries of the world. It helps assess the effects of economic policies on quality of life. The Human Development Index is used to classify countries as developed, developing, or least developed. This breakdown is a more up-to-date version of the older distinction between first world developed and the third world developing and least developed. Another distinction used by some geographers in economics is developed and underdeveloped. Page 2. The HDI. The elements that are measured for the HDI are a long, healthy life as shown by average life expectancy. 2. Knowledge is shown by literacy rates and rates of enrollment in various school levels. 3. The standard of living, as shown by per capita gross domestic product. Even though the HDI leaves out sanitation, water availability, political freedom, and social stability, it is a useful way of tracking the quality of life for large groups of people. Before continuing, take a close look at the HDI ranking above. What do you notice about the countries that have the highest scores? What about the middle and the very bottom? Once you have an idea of the pattern, go to the next page to see if you've worked it out correctly. All right, so the high is green. Notice we are green. The medium is most of upper South America, yellow is most of upper South America and Russia and Asia, parts of Africa as well. And then low human development, unavailable, some countries as well. The gap in human development. Now this one does have audio for the geographic distribution, so you'll probably want to log on and complete the page 3 activity by yourself. By looking at the map of high, medium, and low human development index scores, it should be clear that the world is more or less divided into areas that are developed, developing, and least developed. As a rough approximation, you can say the following. Australia, Europe, and North America are developed. Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East, and Northern Africa are developing. Central Africa is the least developed. Why is there such an obvious geographic gap between the developed countries and the rest of the world? What do developed countries have that other countries lack? That's a big question to answer, but you can start by looking at some distributions that are similar to the distribution of the HDI score. Page 4. Development by region. Here is your self-check. And page 5, effects on human development. This is also a self-check, but we will go over this vocabulary right here. Distributions of wealth, energy consumption, and population size and growth are all correlated with human development traits when two or more measurements share a connection and vary together. Take a minute to reflect on how these factors are connected to a country's status as developing or developed, developing, or least developed. And page 6. New industrializing countries. Life on Earth is always changing. People move, populations grow, and cultures transform. The same is true for human development. Just a century ago, life expectancies were much lower than they are today. Similarly, it wouldn't have made sense back then to measure the literacy rate or school enrollment, since nearly every nation would have had a low score. And the standard of living was much lower in a world without widespread access to electricity, telephones, or automobiles. The 20th century was one of rapid change and development in many areas of life. Human development changes over time, and each country's level of development changes as well. Some of today's developed countries wouldn't have been among the most developed countries only a century ago. Chile, Argentina, Mexico, Brunei, Bahrain, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, and South Korea are all in the top quarter HDI ranking now. But at the beginning of the 20th century, they were all relatively underdeveloped. Some of today's developing countries may soon be considered developed. A newly industrialized country, the NIC, is one that has not yet reached developed status but is experiencing rapid economic growth. The growth is related to an ongoing industrialization and improvements in technology, education, and infrastructure. NICs are on their way to from developing to developed status. The list of NICs today includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, Mexico, and Turkey. Thank you.